the OG members' primary concern is to keep this like a safe, livable space for creative people, and I'm just happy to have been included in this little experiment. So. Yeah, I would say the main reason that I moved here originally was there was an opportunity to get out of my parents' place into a place that I knew, like, I didn't know exactly what I was walking into, but I knew that this was mostly like a Bella's house, and they're active about their music, and I thought that would be galvanizing for me after moving in here and seeing how serious they are about gigging and doing gigs like every weekend sometimes, and just like being out there. About half a year ago, I made like a vow to like get out there myself, and now it's all starting to manifest. So I think this house has helped me in a very positive way. Can I just vibe for a second?
Yeah. I mean, there's.
One thing that I think heavily informs the house dynamic in terms of like labor and responsibility is before a lot of us moved in, before like this new generation, which was like last fall-ish, there was a very negative living experience that I've heard stories of. And so because of that, some members of the house take on automatically a lot more responsibility than they necessarily need to. Because like Alex kind of is the guy who runs the house, honestly. And he's excellent at it, and I know it stresses him out, but he does a great job, and we love him so much. If you're seeing this, Alex, we love you. But I think slowly he's become more comfortable delegating and giving out tasks, as we've proven that we're able to not burn the house down. There's not a lot of like direct communication and delegation of roles. It's almost like an autonomous organism in some way, where everybody generally knows what needs to get done and sort of just does it if it's there in front of them. It's very rare that I'll get a text that's like, hey, can you do your dishes, etc., unless I've really fucked up. We're all a little older now too, so I'm sure we've lived through failed communal living experiences. I know my partner could chime in about the dish situation at their house, but we're not going to go there. This is pretty easy. I just throw the kimchi and the pork in there, then a little bit of sesame oil. I don't know. I just feel everything. I've got it down just on feel. Like a little bit of brown rice vinegar. Since I'm making a bigger batch, a little bit more. A lot of mirin. And every batch comes out a little different, but it's usually pretty good. So honestly, I'm really the only one who hits up the group chat about practices most of the time. And it's normally just like a letting you know and not asking for permission, because nobody ever really objects. Especially because I practice in my room. Like, we've had many times, I'll be up in my room practicing, and Bella's or Tim's band will be in the green room, and we can only really hear each other when you're not playing. And it's been pretty seamless and easy. I would say the biggest difference from this house to any house that I've lived in is like Bella's is a pretty professional band. You know what I mean? They're touring, they're playing, like they are out there gigging like extensively, and they've been playing for a while. So really, this is like the most space I've had to myself in years, because like most of the time, either everybody's here and just like resting, or 6 to 7 out of the 8 to 9 people are just gone for months on end. And then, I mean, that can kind of suck sometimes when you're used to the energy, but I kind of just, it's like the cat is gone and Zach can just kind of play and only has to consult with 2 other people, half of which is somebody subletting who's also not here all the time. So it's actually awesome, because sometimes I feel like I live in a mansion, which is sick. And then other times I feel like I live in an orphanage, which is cool. These are great fluctuating vibes that I love. It is. It's fun. I like being like part of the skeleton crew. Like they're all in hypersleep. You know what I mean? And then eventually I have to wake them up like in 100 solar cycles or whatever. Hopefully like an alien doesn't get loose on the ship. Probably not. We'll see.
Yeah, that's basically how I was growing up into.
When I say professional in reference to Bella's, like I think they still have like the DIY ethos, right? And they definitely are like DIY, and many of them, like, I won't speak to anyone's individual political leanings, but they're definitely like leftist anarchist leaning, right? But I meant in that moment professional as in like organized. They have like someone on their team, like everyone in the band, in addition to being a member of the band, has like a role, right? So I don't know exactly what the breakdown is, but I know Alex does a lot of the social media stuff. Julia does a lot of the social media stuff. Crisco is essentially their booker. So to me, that seems very professional and organized. They've got gigs booked like ahead of time. They've got like, and they're making a lot of their money to support themselves through their music. That's sort of where I draw the line at professional.
PC boxes from Type.
No!
I alphabetically arranged all of them.
No!
That
was good, man.
And found that
Yeah.
Right now, I consider myself an amateur, which ironically enough, I'm going to go on a little spiel about. I love the word amateur. So amateur has a third definition that's somewhat synonymous with like devotee or like disciple, whereas it's someone who only does it for the love. So I've got like a project that I've been cooking for several years that hopefully will be able to play gigs this summer that is called Amateur Club, and it's supposed to, in concept, it's like a bunch of tunes that people come in and come out and play gigs with. So it's like a club full of amateurs, but I don't like the derogatory nature of amateur, especially if if we're thinking like, how do we move into a post-capitalist world? Like, everyone's an amateur then because no one's getting paid for it or whatever by like the definition. So when I say professionality in reference to like Bella's or Tim's band Moon Hollow, I think more in terms of organized, and like at least for now they are making a large portion of their like living expenses from their gigging, which means they're gigging prolifically. Bella's is in Germany right now. That's fucking lit. Good for them. That's pretty amazing. And then I consider myself like pushing towards that. Like I fund most of my shit through working. It's great. I think there's something like philosophically fulfilling about that. It makes the labor sort of not as bad because I'm like fuel that's working towards something.
Scared me. I saw you there by the door, your arms shaking and breaking, your side fall to the floor. Someone told you that I'm already gone, that the lines are too long, yeah, it's all the same. That's a dreaming day. That's a dreaming day. Don't be sad, stop the Over.